Good morning, everyone. It's so good to have you here, back here for our third Fireside Chat. It's a cold, wintry morning here. I hope you all are somewhere warm and safe. We are here in the UofL Athletics Broadcast Center for this great conversation. This has been a series of chats, an opportunity for us to bring to the campus community conversations about what's happening here at UofL, a chance for all of you to hear from our leaders. I know this was a primary goal when we designed these fireside chats, is for you to hear from the folks who are leading major initiatives at the university and to get a chance to know them and hear from them more. So we have a lot of great information to share today, and I'm so glad you're here. The questions that we're going to be answering have all come from you. So thank you so much for that. Over the last few weeks, people have been submitting questions for us to answer. So we'll be doing those today live. If we don't get to your question, I want you to know that you will still have an opportunity to post during the chat today. There's a QR code right on the screen. So if something comes up during the hour and you have a question about it, go ahead and post it. We'll try to get to it at the end of the session. And if you posted a question that we don't get to answer today, but you gave us your name and a way to contact you, my commitment to you is that we're going to have the right leader get back to you and answer that question directly. So we will make sure that that gets back to you. We'll also hold questions for future fireside chats. So if it's not today, hopefully it will be in the future. So we really want to create a dialogue here. We really want to have an opportunity for people to have great conversations and to learn more about the university here. So today, the focus is going to be research, innovation, and healthcare. And so as you submit questions, be thinking about those topics. So let's get started. President Schatzel, good to see you. Welcome.
Good morning, Brian.
I've been looking forward to this conversation.
It's a pleasure to be here again.
It's good to be here, yes. And I want to also introduce our guest, Interim Executive Vice President for Research and Innovation, Dr. Jon Klein. Welcome, Jon.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. And Executive Vice President for Health Affairs and Dean of the School of Medicine, Dr. Jeff Bumpous. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Great to be here.
I'm glad to have you all. We have a lot planned. I want to say thank you. This is a dream team for a fireside chat. I feel like we often only see the tip of the iceberg, and that there are leaders doing work behind the scenes, important, amazing, life-changing work behind the scenes, but we don't always get to hear from you directly. So I appreciate you being here, and I want to say thank you. I think we don't always say thank you to our leaders as well. So thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. And I know this is work that you're both passionate about and can't wait to dig in here. President Schatzel, let's start with you. Since the last fireside chat, a lot of things have happened. And here we are, amazingly approaching the end of 2024. It's hard to believe Thanksgiving is just next week. What are you thinking about and reflecting on? What are some things that maybe since the last fireside chat have happened that you are reflecting on this time of year?
Well, it's always at the end of the year, and you're looking at the holiday season as well as New Year's coming, that you kind of have that opportunity to reflect. But I first also want to say thank you to you, Brian. I can't tell you how much positive feedback we've received for the fireside chat, and if I've said it once, I haven't said it enough. You've done a fabulous job in terms of doing this, and I greatly appreciate it. I know members of our community do as well. The more that we can communicate, the more that we can be responsive, it's investment, and it's needed to be able to do. So I look forward to having many, many more of the fireside chats. We had a fantastic year, starting with the fact that last legislative session was historic for us. We had the largest investment by the General Assembly, over $500 million. That's a B. I like to emphasize it's a B in the university, the most in our history. almost over $300 million in capital investment. Really needed. I mean, I think everybody knows the fact how much needed that was. You can see the Speed School, the new building there, going up as you drive across Eastern Parkway. That side building, many other projects are going on campus. Some of them, are switches, electrical switches and power plants, so they're not as obvious to everybody, but so needed for the infrastructure, as well as the fact that we're already in plans to be able to have our new health sciences complex at Preston and Chestnut. That will be a game changer for us and very important. So, I can't say thank you enough to the legislative leaders and the governor, as well as the support that we got from Mayor Greenberg, President Stivers and Speaker Osborne, just everyone to be able to support our mission, because it was very much needed. And then we opened up the year with the largest historic enrollment in our history. More than 24,000 students have come to this campus. It tells you the fact that also our freshman class, our first year class, was the largest retention ever in our history, the highest retention rate that we've had in our history as well. Those are all positive signs of the trajectory of the university. It's all positive signs of the fact that this is a university of choice for students. And I don't have to tell you, we all know the fact that if we read the Chronicle and newspapers and talk to our colleagues at other campuses, there's campuses that are having struggles with regard to enrollment, and that's not the case here. So we have really strong enrollment. The success, as I said, of the legislature. And U.S. News and World Report, we were top 100 public university. This was just released just a few weeks ago. And we climbed 16 spots. That is the largest increase of any university in the nation.
Wow.
So it just tells you that the momentum is there, the positive impact is being recognized, and I want to take the time to be able to thank all the members of our community, our faculty, our staff, our students. I always look at Coach Kelsey, who says, don't delay gratification, and I've decided that I'm adopting that more and more from him. So I just want to thank the faculty, the staff, and the students for all the hard work. Our alumni, our community and business partners, as I said, the legislature, their leaders, the governor and Mayor Greenberg, because we couldn't do it without everybody. And it really started here, this community really doubling down, and the results are showing.
Yeah, I always feel like every single member of the campus community can take a little bit of pride.
Absolutely.
Has ownership when those enrollment numbers go up. That's because of the work of every one of us. Everybody's connected to that vision. Of course, we might want to, shout out the admissions team and Jenny Sawyer and all of her amazing folks over there. But really, everybody can really take pride in that accomplishment. So that's great. We just started a strategic planning process as well. So ending the year on a high note.
Oh yeah, so I want to remind everybody, I think it's Tuesday the 26th, a survey went out for people to participate. And we started a strategic planning process, so it's going to be really kicking off in the spring. So I'd encourage everybody to get that survey. It was in the link of UofL today, this morning, to be able to have it. I encourage everybody to engage in it. It's so important, a process to hear the voices of every community member on that. Yes. So if you haven't filled out the survey, please do. Make sure that you provide us with that input, your thoughts, your voices included in it, because it's critically important.
Yeah, really exciting. As we looked through all the questions that were submitted ahead of time, there were several questions about leadership changes, and I wondered if you would want to talk about those, especially areas like communication, external relations, and philanthropy. Do you want to talk about those openings, how you're proceeding forward and filling those?
Yeah, sure. So we actually have 3 searches that are going on right now. One is for the Executive Vice President of Innovation and Research. The other is for the CFO. That would be our Executive Vice President for Admin and Finance. And the third that's going on right now is our Vice President of Philanthropy and Alumni Relations. And I'm anticipating the fact that we're going to be able to fill all of those and announced by the end of January, hopefully getting people on board by the end of March to be able to do that. We've had a fantastic pool of applicants to be able to consider. I've got members of the team. Jeff is leading the EVP IR search.
Nice. Okay.
I've got the provost leading the CFO search, and Douglas Craddock is leading the Vice President of Philanthropy and Alumni Relations. Really strong search committees involved with that, a lot of members of the community. You know, and it's a lot of work to be on a search committee. So if there are members of the search committees watching, I want to thank them for participating in that. So we're excited. We've got a great national pool, and that's kind of the timing for those.
That's wonderful. I had the opportunity to be on the search for the Vice President for Human Resources, and I want to say we did a great job of
Sure did.
picking someone. I just want to celebrate Darrell Clark's joining the leadership team.
And we need to be able to get him out here.
We're going to get him
be able
out
to
here.
do that
Yes.
next, to be able to do that. So yeah, and you know, many members of the community have commented the fact that, you know, stability on the leadership team is really, really important.
Yes.
I've shared the fact that you guys are stuck with me. You know, I've fallen in love with the university and just really part of the community, and just feel so strongly about its mission. And we've had a warm embrace by the entire community, both in Louisville as well as the Commonwealth. So Trevor and I feel really at home. But getting that stability in place is really important. And I've heard that message loud and clear. And we're getting very, very close to having this entire senior leadership team in place. And I've got great colleagues that I work with.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear you've fallen in love with UofL. I'm going into my 37th year working here, and it's been a long love affair. This is
it's a long, I agree.
Wonderful community.
Yes.
You won't be surprised to hear that there were also lots of questions about issues around compensation, salary increases, and opportunities for career growth, really for both faculty and staff. And I wonder what updates you want to share about those.
That's a great question. And I think, as you know, when I first joined the campus and came in the spring of 23, I went on a listening tour, and compensation study at that time was the number one that people were bringing up. And there was a great degree of dissatisfaction about the progress and the transparency and the communication and the results. And I heard it loud and clear. And so it is a priority for us to be able to do that. You know, we've completed the staff compensation study, and I always like to frame this in the fact that this was a long road to be able to get to this point. We had to not only review all the JDFs, we had to be able to do a market comparison across. So there was a lot of work, and a lot of people over the last few years have put tremendous amounts of time. The HR staff, the finance staff, all the supervisors, you know, everybody that was reviewing the organizations, as well as doing the comp studies. So it was a lot of work to be able to put in place, because we'd never done one before. We've never had a compensation strategy, and we've never done a competitive analysis in terms of the market, nor having a template for the JDFs. So there's a tremendous amount of foundation work. So that was one of the reasons I said it took so long to us to get to this point. As I said, the staff, the staff portion we've completed. We're working on the faculty portion of it. One of the things that I want to remind people about is the fact that we have frequently asked questions on websites, and there's a lot of information there. And you know, we would talk about it a lot when we were in the midst of having communications on it, but I can tell you that the staff compensation as well as the faculty compensation websites are being updated. So I'd encourage everybody to take a look to see if you have questions or needed to be reminded about various things. And if they're not, there's also an email address that you can ask questions that then we can continue to keep posting. So it continues to be a priority, not just for me, but the senior leadership team, as well as the trustees.
Yes.
You know, we want to be able to provide the fact that we are competitive in the marketplace, that we attract, develop, and retain the best talent that we can for the university. We are a people place, and our people are a number one priority for us. Over the last 2 years, meaning the 24 and the 25 budget, we've invested about $38 million in compensation for faculty and staff, either through across the board increases that we've had or the adjustments that we've had. You know, I hope to continue that as an emphasis going forward. You know, the provost is leading the effort in terms of faculty, so there'll be more announced on that. But I want to assure everybody the fact that we're continuing the priority of compensation and making sure that we're competitive in the marketplace. You know, we have a great community with great people in it, and we want to be able to make sure that we can provide the type of compensation that they deserve. It's always balanced with the pressures that we have to be able to provide an accessible, affordable education, which is a mission for us as well. So we work hard every day to be able to do that within the confines of the budget, as well as the requirements that we have. But you know, we've made it a priority. As I said, probably about $38 million. It was the single largest element, I believe, in the operating budget over those last 2 years in terms of investment. So I hope that provides a signal of how much it means both to the trustees as well as to me and the leadership team to be able to make those changes and provide that important resource to the community.
Yes. The links for both the faculty and staff comp study FAQs should be on the screen, so folks can just go and find them easily. And as you said, if there are questions that aren't answered there, we want to know that so that we can get them answered and included. That's a living, breathing site that's constantly updated. So,
yeah, and I think the other thing that you talked about was the career ladders.
Yeah.
So that's the next phase that we're doing right now, and we're working. Darrell is new to the role, and HR is working really hard to be able to train the supervisors. That was something that was made very clear to us as we rolled out the compensation study, that we could have had much more communication and training with our supervisors. Because that's where everybody gets most of their information from, and we want to make sure the supervisors are adequately trained. So that's beginning and will roll out into the new year. So that is in progress to be able to be done, and I know that's a priority for the campus as well.
Yeah, great. Before we move on, I want to ask you about 3 important designations. You know, I think about every member of the campus community as an ambassador, that they are out there, you know, talking about the amazing things happening at UofL. I have the great fortune of getting to welcome every new faculty and staff member to UofL on their first day of work. And I have been saying, you know, as part of that welcome, that we celebrate that we're an R1, Research 1 university. That's a Carnegie designation. I didn't realize though, and you know, I've been here a long time, I don't think a lot of people realize there are 3 important designations. There's, you know, the Carnegie Research 1. We are also a community engaged campus. That's a Carnegie designation, I think. And then a land grant organization. And I was just wondering, would you just say a little bit about those so that all of us, you know, who may not know what they are will be informed?
Sure. So the Carnegie Foundation is the body that basically provides those designations to universities. And the first is the R1, which indicates that we are a high activity research university. And there's about, and I think you've got the number
I
there.
do, 146 schools in the country.
Now, when you consider that there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of universities, that's a very small group and a very select group of universities. And the criteria for that is quite extensive to be able to meet those requirements to be designated in R1. It's important because of the fact it indicates our mission, that we are a research institution. We, as I like to say, create and disseminate knowledge. So the creation of knowledge by our faculty is a critical part of what we do, and part of our mission, and the R1 indicates that. It also indicates the kind of faculty that we support and that we attract and we retain to be able to do that kind of work. And I have to tell you, for the students, it's really important as well. And to emphasize the fact that when the students are in the classrooms, that their faculty are nationally and internationally known scholars and academics and experts in their field that do create knowledge in those areas. That's very special for students to have the opportunity to get to know and to be instructed by and to learn from and to be mentored by faculty of that status internationally. And it's truly unique to be able to do that. The Carnegie, the next classification is community engaged. And that's a very special classification that you don't see very many about. And I believe it's in the low 80s is what you see both designations.
Yes, 84.
It's very special because of the fact that it indicates the commitment we have as an anchor institution, as well as the type of pedagogy that we recognize in terms of that as well, and the work that we do in terms of our research. We're actually going through our self-study right now for reaffirmation for that accreditation coming in the spring. To me, it's a very special designation, and it really provides the fact that the kind of students and faculty and staff that are interested in an institution like this are interested in the community involvement and the emphasis on community engagement that's part of our DNA. I think because we were birthed as a city university, that I think that is really part of our DNA that you see. And that history is really important to us. And we're the University of Louisville, but we also have impact across the Commonwealth. So that's the other piece to it. And of course, as you said, the land grant organization as well. So we are a very special institution, but those designations inform our mission and create the community and the values that we have.
I believe that the universities that have all three designations is an even smaller, about 30 or 32
That's correct.
universities have all three of those designations, which means, very, very elite. Yeah. Yes, amazing. I hear often from those new faculty coming in or new leaders coming in that they were only considering R1 universities.
That's exactly right. And the community engaged and the land grant together, but the R1 really sets us apart.
Yes. Well, let's move into the area of research and innovation. We've let these folks rest for a minute, but let's get them engaged here, Jon. I was really excited to learn in our conversations leading up to this that you and your team are working on a research strategic plan. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the research strategic plan began late August, early September of 2023 with a series of listening events and also reaching out through forms that academic units would fill out, surveys, if you will, of what their priorities were, what their strengths were, and where they felt that they could improve with additional resources. That moved through the autumn and into the spring of '24, and we began a process of reflecting on those findings and what they told us about what are our areas of eminence in the university and then what are our emerging areas of excellence. We went back to the deans in the summer and met with all the deans, met with the faculty senate, discussed all of these areas of eminence and the rising and emerging areas of excellence with them. And then finally, we came to a public comment period where it was up on our website. Literally anyone could comment. We received a lot of very helpful feedback from the public comment period. The document is now complete, but that's not the end of the process for a couple reasons. The first reason is that we envisioned this, and the team was led by Cindy Logston and other people in the research office, and they did an outstanding job.
Wonderful.
But it was envisioned as a sort of a living document and a learning document, that we would not be locked in for 5 years into all aspects of this, and that there would be an exchange of ideas as the years went by, because new areas of eminence or new areas of excellence will emerge. So what we have now is a document. It'll be presented to the Board of Trustees. And then going forward, we are going to be forming what I hope is a very hard-working implementation group to not just let this sit on a shelf and gather dust, to actually implement the ideas in it.
That's exciting. I think when people think about research and innovation, they might think first about healthcare or medicine and things happening on the Health Sciences Center campus. Jon, we did have a few folks like Dr. Lauren Heberly from sociology, Dr. Tyler Fleming from Pan-African Studies and History, both asked questions about how the strategic planning process is including the humanities, the arts, maybe some of those areas on the Belknap campus that we might not always think at the forefront of research and innovation. How's the planning process connecting them?
It's a great question. The goal going into this, when I became interim EVPRI, was to make sure that we understood that there was excellence and there was eminence among all of our scholars. It didn't matter which campus they were on, that we have people who are nationally and internationally recognized across all of our disciplines, and that we had to take into account those people's needs and desires and their ambitions as well. One of the things I'm proudest of in the strategic plan is a focus on the humanities and arts and sciences. and social sciences. It is something that has been not strongly addressed in previous strategic plans. And so what we've put together is a plan to provide additional resources to the humanities, arts, and sciences, to have a working committee to understand what their goals are, and then also to identify the people who truly are, if you will, rock stars
Sure.
in the humanities,
Yeah.
and make sure that we provide them with the resources to become acknowledged not only in the community and the Commonwealth, but nationally as well. We need to do better at receiving Guggenheim fellowships. We need to do better at receiving a wide variety of awards that justifiably we can earn in the humanities and the arts and sciences. So we think we've been focused on that in ways that previous plans were not. And I'm optimistic and excited about the next 5 years of the plan as we begin to roll out what we call the HASS approach, the Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences approach.
Yes. As you're doing that planning, I'm curious about a study that's underway at the moment regarding the development of a research park that would be located on the land behind the Speed School of Engineering. I drive by it every day, and it's like the land of opportunity there. There's this great space. President Schatzel, do you want to say something about the history of that conversation and where we are today?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to do that. It really started with the research strategic plan. I mean, when I came on board, we had the strategic plan. I knew we were going to enter into another phase of the strategic plan. So we developed a plan for student success. We developed a plan for community engagement. We're developing a research strategic plan. All of those will inform the strategic plan itself. It's kind of neat that we have those things we can bolt on to be able to put together. And there was also a lot of conversation around that blank spot of land that everybody sees when they go over the bridge on Eastern Parkway and they look towards the stadium. And there was plans for a research park there. But it was always just a lot of talk about wanting to do that, and that blank spot was kind of calling for that type of innovation. So as we started to think about it more, we realized the fact that we had really not done any research to be able to better understand where are our, and for lack of a Venn diagram, where are our pillars of excellence with regard to research, and then how do they match up with those opportunities and needs within both Louisville as well as the Commonwealth as well as nationally. And as Jon said, areas of eminence but also emerging areas, and where are those intersections that we can be able to then link with industry to be able to have our research efforts and our scholarly work to be able to support that. And so, you know, we engaged a consultant that has done this work at a number of universities nationally to be able to make sure that this was going to be an informed decision and make sure that we had data to be able to support it. So it's a very data-driven approach, and it's taken several months to be able to put that together, and Jon actually led the effort with that.
Yes.
So we are, I would say, to use a Kentucky metaphor, we're in the clubhouse turn, heading for home.
Yep.
In the study of the research park with our partners, U3 Advisors, a nationally well-known firm that's done a number of research parks and so-called innovation districts. They are learning a great deal about the priorities of the city and the state in economic development. And then they have, I think, met with a large number of people here at the university to hear not only from the strategic plan, but from the scholars and the creators themselves, where they think that we can contribute to this park. I think that probably by the new year, we'll have a good idea of what the park will be going forward in a framework sense, not a blueprint or architectural drawings, but in a blueprint sense of what's the theme of this park going to be? What is the best and highest use of this land that transforms the university and the economy in the region. And that's really our goal. We want this to be a transformative opportunity for the university and the community.
Wonderful. Jon, I want to give you just a minute to shout out, appreciate any of the special projects that you've been excited about. I will mention, just because I'm excited about the Green Heart study, I live in the neighborhood. I was one of the research participants actually when the study was happening. It's about the presence of trees and how they affect our health. Just one of those highlights. I wonder if you have things you want to highlight.
Well, I'll start with that one. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable to accomplish what the Environment Institute has accomplished with the Green Heart study. For those of you who don't know the Green Heart study, this was a study that took a neighborhood in the southern part of the city, but the near southern part of the city above Iroquois Park that borders interstates.
Yes.
And asked a very simple question. What if we divide the area into two parts and we plant large numbers of mature trees and trees that do not drop their leaves so that they can recycle air and clean air year-round? And we do that for half the people, and then the control group. And what they found is that the level of at least 2 indicators of inflammation in those people who had the trees was much lower, much less inflammation. This is really this is groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah.
And so what I would personally like to see, and I think it's something that we've already started discussing, is we have the Environment Institute, which has now become very large. Yeah. I'd like to see the Green Heart Project rolled out into its own center or institute, into a Green Heart Center, to spread the word about the positive effect of greening to cities across the country, and then across the globe even. This is a low friction, low cost way to change people's health, and I think that's what's really remarkable about it. So that's sort of a very exciting project. I think that the other one that's near to my heart, obviously, is the Louisville Clinical and Translational Research Center, which is an NIH-funded center that is an institutional award to the university. We pursued this award or others like them because it changed, because we were pursuing it so long that it changed its structure through the years. We pursued this from around 2008. This is a 16-year effort by scholars. Before I came along in the effort, people were trying to create a clinical and translational research center here. And finally, this year, we were able to get it across the finish line, and we now are funded for the next 5 years between the NIH and commitments from the university and some from our healthcare partners. It's $23.5 million over the next 5 years. It's the largest investment in clinical and translational research in the history of the university. And probably most importantly is it's an institutional grant. This will have awards that every scholar in the university can apply for if they turn their focus on human health. And the truth is, everyone from music therapists to molecular biologists are focused on human health. So this is an opportunity across the entire university for people to participate in a large NIH-funded effort.
Jon, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. This is a good segue as well. We're going to turn our attention now to medicine and health affairs. And so, Jeff, excited to chat with you for a minute here. I want to start at a sort of a high level here. The difference between the University of Louisville and UofL Healthcare, I think, is an important one. Again, as we think about how we're all ambassadors, how we're all communicating about the university, it's confusing to a lot of us what the difference is. We know we're partners, we know we're separate in some ways. Can you talk a little bit about UofL and UofL Health?
Absolutely, Brian. Glad to do it. And in the larger ecosystem of medical schools and universities, about 30 years ago, most medical schools were affiliated with one predominant teaching hospital. And now 85% of medical schools that are parts of R1 universities in particular are part of what are called academic health systems. So that's consortiums and groups of hospitals and groups of major partners. The University of Louisville Healthcare is a related entity, and it started in 2019. It was born out of a financial crisis and healthcare crisis in the city of Louisville. And Louisville, in partnership with this newly created entity and help from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, was able to establish UofL Healthcare. We've grown into a system that now has 8 hospitals, approximately 1,500 physicians, and it is really a vibrant health system. All of those physicians are part of either our full-time or our gratis faculty. So we're serving the major adult healthcare needs and rehabilitative needs of our community. We do vend together a lot, and we're very fortunate to have President Schatzel be the chair of the board of the University of Louisville Healthcare Board. I also serve on that board, and there's other physician and faculty representation on that board. We work hand in hand with our community representatives. We have very effective committees on academic affairs, on quality and safety, on operations and finance, kind of typical board structure. But it allows us to work hand in hand. And thanks to President Schatzel, we were also able to join together for the first time that I recollect, having been here 30 years, Brian, not 37, the first time ever that we did a strategic alignment exercise. And we worked with an organization, nationally known organization known as FTI, and we were able to identify areas where we could work collaboratively together, we could tell better stories, and we could actually organize ourselves in a fashion and strategically plan together. And that was a really amazing exercise. It involved the organization about 48 different interviews, and it was a very in-depth thought. So, President Schatzel,
Jeff did a tremendous job leading that.
Oh, yeah.
Again, you know, how it actually started was the fact that you know, as Jeff said, UofL Health was born out of financial crisis. And then, you know, it was put together. The hospitals were going bankrupt. I mean, it was really formed to be able to salvage and to make sure that we had a sustainable healthcare operation to be able to not just serve Louisville, but also a major for the region and for the Commonwealth. And then right after that, the pandemic hits. So for about a 3-4 year period of time, UofL Health was managing, just reorganizing itself to be a sustainable operation in an academic health center, but also to be able to deal with the healthcare needs of Louisville as well as the Commonwealth itself during, you know, a 100-year pandemic that it was dealing with. So right about when I came, maybe about 6 or 8 months before that, they were coming up for air. It was the first time that everybody could go, okay, now let's talk to each other and see what we could do. And so we really wanted to be able to see how we could align much more effectively with each other. I always described it as that we were bacon and eggs. We were on the same plate, but we were separate. And we wanted to kind of make an omelet, to kind of figure out how you could put these together and synthesize something that was more than the sum of its parts. And that's where Jeff led this work with Tom Miller as the CEO. Much of the senior leadership team of UofL Health and ours were involved in it.
You know, it's always, looking back, when you look back, I just almost can't imagine what would have happened if we had not, in 2019, if that partnership hadn't happened and I mean, we didn't know we were facing the crisis of a lifetime, but thank goodness that happened, that work happened.
Oh, that was an inflection point for our community that resulted.
It really is, the community and the Commonwealth, Brian, you know, because we admit patients at our university hospital from all 120 counties of the state. So we really do provide care, what we would refer to as tertiary, quaternary care, advanced care, because we're part of a medical school and have a large faculty. You know, we have over 600 medical students, 900 graduate students, thousands of residents, and 75 accredited residency and fellowship programs at the school. So that attracts a group of physicians that are able to take care of problems that aren't easily cared for in community hospitals. So us being healthy, us being forward thinking, is a real asset to not only the Louisville area, the region, southern Indiana, but the Commonwealth as a whole.
I think you're sharing some of the service areas. I didn't mean to interrupt. I think it's important to be able to do.
Yeah, so one of the important facets of this project was the challenge of saying we really need to prioritize and see where we're doing well. So we identified what we refer to as strategic service lines. So the components of a strategic service line really had to have an academic or teaching component. It had to have a superb clinical care component. It needed to have a research component. We are R1, as we've discussed earlier.
Right.
And it had to have community engagement. So it really is mission aligned with the university's mission in a major way. And when we talk about research, we're talking about serious research that brings in extramural funding from the National Institute of Health and other major funding organizations to have impact in our area and our region. So we identified cancer, cardiovascular care, neurosciences, and behavioral health. And you might say, well, why those things and not others? And there are other major important things, obviously trauma center, women's health, other things like that. But those 4 things were areas that had not only those components, but they line up with the healthcare needs of this region and the healthcare disparities of this region.
In
Brian.
Kentucky, right. And they are far-reaching, right? So I'm thinking again back to this conversation about how everyone is connected here. For example, a question from Dr. Andrea Berman about how areas like the Fraser Rehab Center are also included when you think about those pillars.
Great. Yeah, and that's so good. It leans into neurosciences, and I thank Dr. Berman for that because she's such a vital part of our community and a vital researcher as part of our Kentucky Center for Spinal Cord Injury. So or KCERC as we refer to it. So really, neurosciences is everything from spinal cord injury to epilepsy and brain disorders to stroke. And it affects many, many parts of our community, so it's really important to have that. The Fraser Rehabilitation Center is really the only and largest freestanding rehabilitation center in the region. And it's one of the largest rehabilitation centers in the country. In this last year, we opened in the East End of Louisville a new East End Fraser Rehabilitation Hospital. So we have 2 Fraser Rehabilitation Hospitals in Jefferson County, which are fully academic units that have residents that undergo clinical research and also attend to the needs of our community. But in the neurosciences, we're also doing amazing amounts of research, and we're linking up with our basic science departments like anatomy and neurobiology, the Department of Neurosurgery, and many, many others. And holistically, we link up with the Kent School of Social Work and Neurosciences. So there are so many connections between the Belknap campus and the HSC campus, and they're growing exponentially, almost on a daily basis, it seems like to me. But they're really fundamental, and I think, if you really think about it, we talk about the art and science of medicine. So humanities and social services in all of our schools, we have a very holistic approach to advancing the healthcare of the Commonwealth in our region.
Yeah, thinking about that connection to the Belknap campus, we talked about that divide that is a perception sometimes. I know you're working on some exciting, like new, cross-academic majors with arts and sciences. Do you want to talk a little bit about those?
Well, we're so proud. We have connections with the business school, the College of Arts and Sciences, the engineering school, the music school. There's so many schools that we have connections with. Specifically with arts and sciences, though, I've been very proud to work with Dean Dana Turin at the College of Arts and Sciences. And we have one of our quickest growing undergraduate majors is actually a collaborative major. It's a major in neurosciences. It started in 2018, and we had admitted about 48 students at that time. Dr. Paul DeMarco in psychology is one of the big proponents of that and one of the collaborators and creators of that program, and it works with the Department of Anatomy on our campus. We now enjoy 275 students in that program, and it's growing every year. Those students have gone into areas of research, have joined our graduate programs and our PhD programs. They work in our labs. Many of them have actually now stayed on as faculty and gone on to be faculty at other major R1 universities. So this is an exciting program. We have a newly minted program in communication sciences as well. Many other examples of that, of collaborative programs between the two campuses, and it's very exciting. The CTRD grant and other research collaborations and emphasis that Jon brought up in the research strategic plan line up perfectly with this and intentionally with this. So and President Schatzel has really, one of her challenges to us is that we were a very siloed university, but we had such major connections that we could make, and she's made many of those connections, and she's unsiloing the University of Louisville in a major way on a daily basis and in a very intentional way, and I think that's going to have an enduring impact on us for a number of years.
Yeah. My new word of the day is unsiloing. I like that. That's just bringing us together. That's amazing. I want to, fair is fair. Anything you're excited about? Any additional programs? Favorite? I don't know. Stories of the day of coming out of your.
Well, when I finish at about 12 o'clock, I'll. Being humorous here, Brian. There's so many things, but one thing that deserves some emphasis, and the president alluded to the really amazing amount of funding that we've had come into the university, and the confidence that we've enjoyed from our legislature because of the impact we're making. We're building a $280 million new building on the health science campus that will be transformational for decades. And this building it's not just a medical school building, it is the building for the university, it is a building for the School of Public Health and Information Sciences, it's a building for the School of Nursing, it's a building for the School of Dentistry, and it's a building for the School of Medicine, and it's a building for our community. And it will be the centerpiece of what we call the LouMed district now. So that's the Louisville Medical and Education District. We're a big neighborhood association that contains UofL Healthcare, the downtown elements of Norton Healthcare, including the Children's Hospital, which is a major teaching hospital for us, and the Jefferson County Community College. And at any one given time, Brian, there are over 2,500 students walking around in that 22-block area, and over 9,000 employees. There are more visitors to the LouMed district and to that area than there are at Churchill Downs all year, including the Derby. So the University of Louisville and our programs and our health system there are one of the major economic partners of the Louisville region and the Commonwealth, and really have major impact on the area and are a major source of healthcare provision for the area.
That is amazing. I do think all it takes to see our progress and to see the confidence the legislature has in us is to walk on the campus. You're just going to see improvements and renovation, new buildings going up. It's very, very exciting. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Dr. Schatzel, I want to come back to you for a few questions as we get near the end here. At the last Fireside Chat, Lee Gilt was one of our guests, and we spent some time talking about this national conversation that universities are having about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And at some point after that Fireside Chat, you testified before the Kentucky State Legislature. You want to give some updates there on that conversation and where you see us today?
Yeah, I sure can. I also want to make sure that we talk about research computing too, because I think that's important to talk about it. This is, of course, something that is, inclusion, our commitment to inclusion is a priority for us. As we've shared, there has been a national narrative around this that has created quite a bit of priorities for us to be able to communicate and dialogue with the legislature around what DEI and what inclusion means. I've spent a lot of time with legislative leaders over the last 2 years now. I'll have my 2-year anniversary coming up at the beginning of the new year, to be able to understand and also to communicate with them and to be able to, as I've said, be able to broaden the conversation around DEI. As I've said, are our veterans, is that part of the DEI effort? We have immigrants, we have online students, we have adult learners that are coming, we have students that are challenged with various different learning styles as well as disabilities. When we take a look at all of that impact, as well as the fact that we're dealing with all demographics and all identities, our commitment is to make sure that all of our faculty, staff, and students thrive, not just survive. that we create an environment that we can be able to meet them where they are and meet their unique needs so they can realize their fullest potential. I think the conversations that we've had with the legislature have been very successful. I was one of several university presidents that did testify. And I think the conversation went very well with them, and it continues. I was on the phone this morning with 2 legislators talking about it. So I think the dialogue is continuing, and I think that the value and the positioning that we've done and be able to have those conversations is important. And I'm deeply committed to continuing those conversations.
Wonderful, thank you. And thank you for that testimony that you gave. I watched it. You looked so comfortable. I don't know if you were just, feeling it inside, but I imagine testifying before a legislature is can be a tense thing.
When you feel as strongly about it as we do,
yeah.
You speak from the heart.
Yeah.
And I think the authenticity is important to be able to do it, and to be able to have that personal conversation is important, not just sitting before the committee. And it's something that I try and do as frequently as I can. Absolutely.
We're going to check on questions that have come in live during this hour, but let's talk a little bit about research computing.
I should have talked about things about research computing when I was speaking about things that I'm excited about. But it was the first thing I got excited about when I entered this position.
Well, and let me just say, I keep going back to my tour when I first went on a listening tour.
Yes.
And I went to HSC and Variety, and one of the things that kept being brought up where people were saying, we're an R1 institution, we committed to research, what about research computing? And it became loud and clear that we needed to make that investment. So, Jon worked to realize it, and it's important.
I look back at our history of research computing, and we began to step into high performance research computing around 2007, 2008. I always like to say that's the year the first iPhone was released, and so we were in some ways looking back at technology that was vastly outdated. We had upgraded, it was better, but we had fallen behind, quite frankly. So working with the President's leadership team, in particular with the CFO, Charlie Perouse, and other people, we've committed $5 million into research computing.
Okay.
And there's something very special about this commitment. It isn't just buying boxes of servers. Thanks to our fabulous new Chief Information Officer, shout out to Carlos.
Yes.
The program that we're developing for research computing is going to be outstanding. So we're going to have a director of research computing, somebody who has a strong background in it. We're going to have analytics scientists that are going to be available for these big data projects. Big data crosses all disciplines now. We have had artists who use AI to paint, all the way to people in the medical school who use AI to predict how to properly dose drugs. And those are computing intensive approaches. So we've got to keep up. We can't just invest $5 million. So we're out there looking for additional sources of revenue to continue to build out our research computing so that it really becomes something very special. I can tell you one thing very quickly, is that we have been recently recruiting candidates who need this, and when they come in and they see what the commitment is, they're very happy. And so this is going to be a strong recruiting tool for the university, and really for all disciplines, because almost all of us, are moving into data-intensive scholarly work.
Wonderful. Well, I just got questions that are coming in during the session, and this is a perfect time, a perfect question to ask you all to respond to, and that is, how do you see AI impacting research or maybe other operations at the University of Louisville? Let's talk about AI for a minute.
Boy, in healthcare, it's huge, Brian.
Yeah.
And we already have a good footprint. And I'm so grateful for Jon's vision and work around research computing, because that provides really the necessary infrastructure for us to do what we're doing. Dr. Sohail Contractor in our radiology department is doing a massive amount of work and is really a national authority on the use of imaging and the prioritization of imaging. We're using AI voice recognition to help with the efficiency of writing accurate notes and allowing our physicians to have more face-to-face time with patients.
All right.
And then I would also give a shout out to Dr. Gondam in our pathology department, who is using digital pathology. So if there is a pathology specimen in Western Kentucky, it can be digitized and looked at by our expert pathologist here in Louisville to achieve a quicker and more accurate diagnosis. So the ability to use this is we've not even scratched the surface of where we can do that. Obviously, we have to do it responsibly and thoughtfully, especially in the clinical spaces and interactions with patients, and also in the educational spaces. But it's definitely something we're engaged in, and will be really, in some aspects of what we're doing, we're leaders in.
Wonderful.
So while we're on this subject of how long we've been here, this is now my 43rd year.
Oh, you've got me beat.
Only job I've ever had. Love it.
Wow.
Love this university. And one of the things that I did in the strategic plan was sort of do an intensive review of AI work here at the university. And what you find is that we were actually very early adopters, some of our scholars. One of the earliest papers that we ever published in AI goes back to the early 2000s in using something called neural networks, a form of machine learning. That came out of the Speed School, and Dr. Jacek Zarada and some of his postdocs went over to the medical school, was put together with our kidney group, and a startup company that now actually has a large share of the market came out of that work. So we're going all the way back to 2005, about there. We were already doing AI work here. So we have a good and proud history to build on. We need to build and think very carefully and also imaginatively about how best scholars can employ AI in their work. In simple terms, AI continues to be really important in the medical school and the engineering school, but also the business school is very involved. The School of Education and Human Development is very involved with AI. And I think that it is just another tool. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
We have to respect privacy concerns and other concerns that are associated with it. But it is something that every scholar, probably every creative person in the university, is going to employ AI in one way or another.
Wonderful. I know there's a task force of UofL folks, an AI working committee that maybe the provost has convened, who are just continuing to explore all the different applications, all the way it's going to affect our lives at the university. Yes. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for that question. We have just a few minutes left here, and President Schatzel, I wonder if you would like, and as we sort of close out here, as we approach the end of the year, any final words of appreciation to folks, thoughts, things you want to share as we close out?
Well, I can tell you the fact that, I hope everybody realizes by talking to my two colleagues and our two colleagues, how vibrant the research enterprise is on this campus, and how much it means to what we contribute into our mission. And with them are hundreds and hundreds of our faculty and staff and graduate and undergraduate students that are pursuing that. And it makes us a truly unique institution, and one that we're deeply committed to be able to advance. I can tell you the fact that I've spent this semester also visiting some donors and alumni around the country. I was in Houston, I was in Seattle, and I was in San Francisco, and had the opportunity to meet with alumni and donors there. And they, they've shared the fact of how proud they are of the university and how much the community means to them, and they stay up with everything that the university is doing. And many of them come back for a variety of reasons, both family as well as sports teams. So the connection and the love of UofL is there. I'm really looking forward to doing more of that, is to be able to spend time outside of Louisville to connect with our alumni and connect with our community, because we have I met a student that graduated and was in Houston and I had commenced her, as I said, in May, and she had just started a new job, and she and her husband graduated and got married the next day and moved to Houston together.
My goodness.
So I'm meeting people who were graduates of 40 years ago and those that are graduates of 4 months ago. So getting to know our community is truly important. And a part that I just enjoy of what I do. You know, it's Thanksgiving is next week.
Yeah.
I hope that everybody has time to be able to spend time with their family and friends. And Thanksgiving is actually probably my favorite holiday.
Oh, good.
Because it's all about family, and and there's no pressure. You can just be with each other, eat, and just enjoy each other's company, and watch some movies, and play some games, and watch some football, if that floats your boat. But giving thanks and showing gratitude, as I said, you know, I've adopted Coach Kelsey's view of don't delay gratitude. So I just want to, on behalf of everybody sitting here, and I know you, Brian, as well as John and Jeff, just wish everybody the happiest of Thanksgivings. And I hope that you have a very peaceful, restful time with your family and friends and enjoy it tremendously.
Thank you so much. That's a great way to end. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the holidays, and thank you for the great work you do.